So it's getting close to Christmas. And, people like The Christmas Story and all those movies. Well, I figured today will be story time. So stick around. Hi, welcome back. My name's Joe Brown. I'm a commercial real estate agent with Century 21, List with Beggins, located in South Tampa. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So I'm calling this video an anatomy of a story. No, an anatomy of a transaction. So I just want to share with you a recent transaction that took several months, but I want to share with you how that transaction unfolded and the steps we took to get the best deal for my client. Okay, so let's start with my client was here in Tampa and had an auto repair business. And they were ready just to get out of the business, to close up shop. The father wanted to retire. So we put the property on the market. And it took a while. We had to extend the listing. But we finally received an offer. And we had to go back and forth, and lawyers on both sides got involved. And as you can tell, that was fun. But we came to an agreement. And so it was a 90-day due diligence period, and we closed. But now my client was going to face capital gains tax of close to $150,000. And he did not want to give up $150,000. So I introduced him to a 1031 exchange. So 1031 refers to tax code 1031, in which business owners and investors can take capital gains from a business or investment and transfer it to another business or investment and defer the capital gains tax. So then the search began. In fact, the search began even before he closed on his property, and he knew he wanted passive income. And so we first searched in Florida, and there really wasn't very much available in Florida. So then we searched nationwide, and there were Scooters coffees that were available. There were Dunkin' Donuts. There were medical offices, and I created a spreadsheet, and I think we were up to 30 or 35 different locations. And what I did for my client is I traced out not only what the property was, but the address and where it was, the price, but also looked at if you carry debt, how much debt, what was the debt service charge per year, and how much would you net. I also added a column as to landlord responsibilities. So here's something that I learned. Many agents will list a property as triple net. So if you go back to one of my previous videos, I talked about triple net is the tenants pay for everything. So agents were advertising these properties as triple net. However, the landlord was still on the hook for the building and roof or parking lot, right? So in a sense, they're not true triple net. A lot of the expenses are triple net, but the landlord still has responsibilities. And because we were looking out of state, my client really wanted zero landlord responsibilities. So you may think, man, that's a tough ask, right? Zero landlord responsibilities, passive income, so really just mailbox money. And we actually found 7 in his price range that we investigated. And I wrote several, they're called letters of intent. It's like, I have an interest in buying this property at this price, and let's negotiate back and forth. And so if you go back to, I did a video on 1031 exchange. One of the rules is you identify 3 properties within 45 days. So that 45 days of closing, so he closed on his building here, you have 45 days to identify 3 properties. And then from there, you have to close within 135 days on one of those properties. So going back, we found, I think it was 7 absolute triple net, 0 landlord responsibility. There were 2 that he really liked. Well, then I checked the credit rating. And yeah, that left some doubt as to whether he really wanted to take on that iffy credit rating. And so he decided on a Dollar General in Michigan. Now, Dollar General is a BBB rated company, so just below A for credit worthiness. It still had 8 years remaining on the original lease, but then still has 5 years of 5-year extension. And at each extension, there's a 10% bump in rent. So now, I am not licensed in Michigan. The listing agent is not in Michigan. So both of us had to use what's called a broker of record. So I contacted a commercial broker in Michigan and said, will you represent me? Will you represent this transaction, but I'll do all the work? He said, sure. So working with this agent in Michigan, we did the entire transaction, and it finally closed last week, 2 weeks ago. So my client, here's the story, right? So my client sold his property. He was worried about capital gains tax, so he rolled his proceeds from the sale of his property into a 1031 exchange, absolute triple net with passive income, if you want to call it mailbox money. Now, what I didn't tell you, and if you go back to my video on 1031 exchange, if you have a building and you have debt on that building, then the 1031 exchange, you need to carry that debt, right? You have to have the same amount of debt. Otherwise, you have to pay capital gains on that debt that you pay off. So, for example, if it's $1 million deal and you have $200,000 in debt, and you say, well, let me pay the debt off and I'll just carry over $800,000. Well, you would owe capital gains tax on that $200,000. So to avoid that capital gains tax, you get another loan for $200,000. So my client had to replace his debt for the new property. So he went to the bank that his business, his auto shop uses, and they are going to give him a rate of 6.85%. And I said, do me a favor and talk to a lender that I know. And this lender is a regional bank, even though they loan across the country. And they said, oh, we are excited about this deal. We can give you a 5.5% interest rate, saving my client 1.35% rate. My client was thrilled. The bank was thrilled with this loan because it was a slam dunk loan. So why am I sharing this story with you? Yes, it's Christmas. I said that. But here's a few things. One, as you can tell by my gray hair, I'm older. I have retired from a previous career. My target audience, the people I want to work with, are older people who own property, ready to retire, but want to protect their financial assets. Listen, I've retired. You're thinking about retiring, right? You're looking to protect your assets, whether it's property. I'm a real estate broker. I can help you sell your property and protect the financial gains through 1031 exchange and the different options within the 1031 exchange. So that's why I'm sharing this story with you, because I brought value to my clients through the network that I've established nationwide and locally with title companies and mortgage companies, right? So that's why I'm sharing this story. I have experience. So listen, if you're in a position of you're looking to retire and you just want to talk about your options, about is this a good time to sell my property? What do I do with the proceeds? What are the options for a 1031 exchange? Just reach out to me. Go to my website, which is joebrown-commercial.c21.com. Hit the contact me button and let's just sit down for coffee or lunch and just talk about your options, okay? So this is my commercial video for the month. I hope everybody has a great holiday season. Reach out to me if I can help. And until next time, take care.